Imagine being told that your country has no natural resources, no oil, no gold, no farmland, no large population, no military power, and worse still, your country has just been expelled from its only neighboring union. Most leaders would have seen disaster. One man saw opportunity. In 1965, Singapore was a struggling island with widespread poverty, ethnic tensions, unemployment, and uncertain future. Today, it is one of the richest and most developed nations on earth. How did that happen? And what role did one leader, Lee Kuan Yew, play in creating what many call the Singapore miracle? This is the story of the man who transformed a vulnerable island into a global powerhouse. Towering skyscrapers, world-class infrastructure, one of the busiest ports on earth, a global financial center, millions of tourists, one of the highest standards of living in the world. But 60 years ago, none of these existed. To understand Singapore's success, we must first understand the world Lee Kuan Yew inherited. Lee Kuan Yew was born on September 16, 1923. At the time, Singapore was part of the British Empire. His family belonged to the local middle class. As a young student, Lee Kuan Yew quickly demonstrated exceptional intelligence, but his life will soon be shaped by events far larger than himself. In 1942, during World War II, Japanese forces invaded Singapore. The British, once thought invincible, surrendered. For many young Singaporeans, the occupation shattered the illusion that colonial power was unbeatable. Lee later described this period as one of the most influential experiences of his life. He witnessed fear, violence, and the consequences of weak leadership. When the war ended, Lee pursued higher education in Britain. He studied law at Cambridge University. There, he excelled academically and developed a deeper understanding of politics, governance, and nationhood. By the time he returned home, Singapore was changing rapidly. Calls for self-government were growing. Colonial rule was losing legitimacy, and Lee was preparing for a political career. In 1954, Lee and a group of like-minded colleagues founded the People's Action Party. Their mission was simple but ambitious: end colonial rule, create self-government, build a prosperous future. Lee quickly emerged as one of the movement's most effective leaders. He was disciplined, strategic, and an exceptionally skilled communicator. In 1959, Singapore achieved self-government. At just 35 years old, Lee Kuan Yew became Prime Minister. Yet his greatest challenge was still ahead. At the time, Singapore faced severe unemployment, poor housing conditions, ethnic divisions, and limited economic opportunities. Many doubted whether the tiny island could survive independently. Some predicted failure, others predicted collapse. History will prove them wrong. In 1963, Singapore joined Malaysia. The union was intended to create stability and economic growth and strength. Instead, political disagreements quickly emerged, tensions escalated, trust broke down. The partnership became increasingly difficult. Then came a moment that will change history. On August 9th, 1965, Singapore was separated from Malaysia. Suddenly, the nation stood alone. Kuan appeared on television. During an emotional press conference, he struggled to hold back tears. For many observers, the future looked bleak. A small island, limited resources, surrounded by uncertainty, few believed Singapore could succeed. Lee believed otherwise, and from that moment forward, the race to build a nation began.
On this moment, when we signed this agreement which severed Singapore from Malaysia, it will be a moment of anguish. I mean, for me, it is a moment of anguish because all my life, you see, the whole of my adult life, I had believed in Malaysian merger and the unity of these two territories. You know, as people connected by geography, economics, and ties of kinship. Would you mind if we stop for a while?
Lee's government focused on four priorities: jobs, housing, education, and stability. First came industrialization. Singapore aggressively attracted foreign investment. Companies were invited to build factories and create employment. Second came housing. The government launched one of the largest public housing programs in the world. Millions of citizens would eventually gain access to affordable homes. Third came education. Singapore invested heavily in skills, science, and workforce development. The goal was simple: create a population capable of competing with the world's best. Finally came anti-corruption reforms. Lee believed corruption would destroy trust and economic growth. His government imposed strict standards and strong enforcement. The result was a public sector known for efficiency and accountability. Singapore began transforming itself. Year after year, the economy expanded. Investors gained confidence, trade increased, infrastructure improved. The port became one of the busiest in the world. International businesses established regional headquarters. Living standard rose dramatically. What had once seemed impossible was becoming reality. Singapore evolved from a developing nation into one of the world's leading economies. The transformation attracted global attention. Many governments began studying Singapore's model. Some admired it, others criticized aspects of it, but few could deny the results. No historical figure is without controversy. Supporters view Lee as one of the greatest nation builders of the modern era. They point to economic growth, public safety, low corruption, and social stability. Critics argue that political freedoms were limited during parts of his leadership. They question whether economic success came at the expense of greater political openness. This debate continues today, and it remains an important part of understanding his legacy. The story of Lee Kuan Yew is not simply about success, it is also about difficult trade-offs, the choice leaders make, and the consequences of those choices. When Singapore became independent in 1965, many believed it would fail. Instead, it became one of the most successful development stories in modern history. At the center of that story stood Lee Kuan Yew, his vision, his discipline, his determination, and his belief that small nations could achieve extraordinary things. Whether viewed as a visionary, a pragmatist, or a controversial leader, his impact on Singapore is impossible to ignore. The lesson is not that every country should copy Singapore. The lesson is that leadership matters, ideas matter, and sometimes one person's decision can change the destiny of an entire nation. If you enjoyed this documentary, subscribe for more stories about the leaders, decisions, and turning points that shaped our world.